Hey y'all, I'm Anahi Martinez, your host for Developing Divine Daughters, and thank you so much for listening. Today we have something a little bit different, not too different, but a little bit different, and I'm bringing in someone who I recently just met, and she has a great story to share. She's doing something in the ministry. She has a nonprofit organization, and I want to introduce to you our special guest, Mrs. Amie Crabtree.
Thank you so much, Anna. It's a blessing to be here today.
Thank you for coming. I'm so excited. I really am, but I'm also kind of nervous because this topic, it's controversial, but I think it's something that we need to talk about. And I always tell everyone, it might hurt people's feelings. It might start something, but as long as we're getting at the truth, that's what matters. I don't want to sugarcoat anything. I want to be completely transparent and raw and honest with everyone else. So, if you haven't guessed it by now, we're talking about Planned Parenthood and abortion and the reality of things. So, but before we get into the nitty gritty, I want to just break the ice a little bit and tell me, who are you? Like, as a person, as an individual, what do you do for fun? Anything. Who are you?
Well, wow, that's I've been living for quite a few years now, so that could go a little long, but I will try to make it brief. So I'm actually from the state of Louisiana, but when I was 19 years old, moved to Mexico to learn Spanish. And my husband and I have been missionaries here on the border in Piedras Negras and Eagle Pass for the past 31 years.
Oh, wow.
We were blessed with 4 kids. We now have 4 grandkids, one on the way, so 5. And we're really excited about that. We're super blessed with everything, all the doors that God is opening and the things that He's doing in our life today. As far as what I like to do for fun, I love to read and I love to go camping.
Ooh, camping. Where's your favorite camping site? Yeah.
I'm probably going to say Garner State Park in Texas is
nice.
I love it, but I love all the state parks. So
yeah. So wait, at what age did you get married? You said you moved
20 years old. Yeah.
Oh, so you were engaged when you came to Mexico?
That's right.
Oh,
you got
wow.
it. Oh, you're very perceptive. That's why you do this.
The line. Wow, that is crazy. So, you told me personally that you started a nonprofit organization, right? Tell us what it is. How did it get started?
Well, my husband and I started a nonprofit originally many years ago when we came here as missionaries. And then recently we have started another organization as part of that ministry that we have on both sides of the border, and it is called Promise Family Services. And we launched this ministry, this organization, a couple of years ago. We've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes to get it going, and we're really just starting to step out and get our name known in the community on both sides of our border here, to be able to serve women, children, and their families.
Wow. So this is also in Mexico. It's here in Piedras too?
Yes. So we've initially started in Eagle Pass, and we are also in the process of duplicating that same pattern in Piedras Negras.
Okay. I want you to kind of tell us, what is that organization that y'all are doing? What is it benefit? Like, what can people get from it?
Okay, so Promise Family Services is a nonprofit organization that we have launched for women and their children. We are Pregnancy Resource and Trauma Healing Center, and that's like a mouthful. It's specifically what we do to kind of make it easier to understand is we support women especially who are experiencing an unplanned or unexpected pregnancy. We help them with free pregnancy tests. Pregnancy decision coaching, kind of help them to kind of process their decisions and what they need to do to help them work through that and make a pregnancy and life plan based on that, as well as we help with material goods for those moms, baby items. We also, as far as the Trauma Healing Center, we also offer life coaching and healing support groups for women who have been through past sexual abuse, assault, women who have gone through a past abortion or a past miscarriage or stillbirth and are looking for some healing and to get some resolve in those areas of their life. Also, another aspect of one of the things that we do is we offer a support group for pregnant single moms called Embrace Grace. And these are groups that are literally all over the United States, now in all 50 states.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's
and
so good.
yes, it is. It's a wonderful group. We meet for 10 weeks. We're able to work with these young moms and help them to become brave and confident moms and know who they are in God and know who they are as moms, to understand their worth.
Yeah.
And then we celebrate them at the end with a big baby shower, free baby shower with all the basic things they need for babies. So it's a really cool thing.
Yeah, no, that is great. I think it's really beneficial. How did that start? Like, what pushed you to start it? What was the main reason that?
Oh, wow. So this is something that my husband and I had in our heart for years, but didn't really know how to go about it and what direction to go in. And so we had been praying about that. But the real, I'm going to say, turning point and where there was this connection, this is it, this is what you need to do and how to do it, which was an amazing moment. A few years ago, the movie Unplanned came out in theaters, and that's the Abby Johnson story. That's something you can watch that movie on all different platforms. If you haven't seen it, you're interested, I do recommend it highly because it is an eye opener for sure. So I knew basically when we went into the theater kind of where this movie was going. It does expose the abortion industry, and specifically in this movie, it is Planned Parenthood, just because that's who Abby Johnson worked for. It's not exclusive to that, but because of the movie and her life, that's just who is being represented. And so my husband and I watched the movie, and I've always been pro-life. I've always believed that God is the author of life, that he gives us every breath that we breathe. Amen. I've always believed that every person is born with a plan and a purpose. Amen. I've always believed that. But going into that theater and seeing the things that I saw, the injustice towards women and babies that was brought before my eyes in such a vivid way was life-changing for me. And as I walked out of that theater, I just looked at my husband and I said, because at the time we were commuting, and there was a town that we were going to, and they still have a pregnancy help center there. And I told him, I said, I'm going to put in my application tomorrow to this pregnancy help center, because I want to help women. I want to be there to support them. I can't unsee what I've seen, and I can't just walk away from this like nothing's happening. And I told him, I have to do this. I now understand my assignment. It was one of those definite impactful moments, and that's what I did. And I gave my application there for volunteer. I met with the director. She is an amazing woman. We still work together, and they support our center where we are. And I told her my heart. I said, look, we're located on the border, and we don't have a pregnancy resource center for women and their families to help dads be confident in young men and who they are as fathers, and help women to know that their role as a mom and who they are for their children is so important to our society. We all know that the family is an endangered species, and so that's a lot of what really impulses us and what we do. And as I spoke with her, I told her, I was like, I want to plant this on the border on both sides. And she loved the idea. She really took me under her wing. We did a lot of training. I became a client advocate, and she showed me all the different aspects of the center so that I would be equipped to do that where we are. Yes. And so that's basically where we're at today.
I actually, since you told me that movie was what sort of started everything, where it pushed you, where it made you realize things, I took time to watch the movie.
Great.
So I can so I can have some insight on what I was really, what I needed to speak on, I guess, or share. And oh my, I've been pro-life. I am pro-life. But after I watched that movie, I came out 100 times more pro-life. I was actually watching it in class on my phone. So when we were like done with work or doing work, just to kind of keep me focused, I was watching it and I just couldn't help but I was tearing up so much since the beginning of the movie. Since where it started off, I might spoil it if you guys haven't watched it. You might want to pause it here and go watch it. But when she went into the procedure room, right, mm-hmm. she had been there 8 years and she had never gone into the procedure room, right? And so when she saw the sonogram and everything that was going on, I was like, oh my. And then not just that, mm-hmm. there was blood. And I'm a little mm-hmm. queasy to blood, so I was feeling a little sick after that. Mm-hmm. But it's truly an impactful movie, and I believe that everyone should go watch it. After I watched it, I told my classmates who were sitting next to me, I told my parents, I told my friends, I'm like, you guys need to watch this movie. It's going to open your eyes to a lot of more things and make you more aware. So the fact that pushed you, I am so glad of what you guys are doing, because one thing that I know, that one thing that we're known for, I believe here in the border, is teen pregnancies. Mm-hmm. They are very, very common. You can say, oh, I know this person, she's pregnant, or this and that, and this is just very common here. And so it's sort of saddening because these are young teens who don't know what to do, right? They don't know, I don't feel like I'm not prepared to be a mother, or I was sexually abused and this and that. And so it's sad. And so their mind sort of just goes to, I'm going to abort this baby because I'm not prepared. I would be doing it harm. But that is a lie that we cannot go into. And that's a lie that society wants to tell. You're not ready? Abort it. No. So I want you to sort of share, what are some of the lies about pro-life that we get? For example, they only care about the baby, or
so there actually are a lot of lies out there that are being spoken as if they were truth, and that's one of the reasons why podcasts like this, getting information out, education and knowledge is so powerful. I mean, the word talks about that all in Proverbs, and and it is true. We've got to speak the truth. We need to educate people in a loving way, because we've heard the saying, you don't know what you don't know. It's true. We don't know what we don't know until we know it. And I understand that, because there were things that I didn't know, and I've changed my perspective, I'll say, on a lot of these things over the past years. The more I've investigated, the more I've tried to educate myself on these topics. So I think these are learning moments. I think they're learning moments in our lives that as God begins to show us things, that we just need to maybe take away our preconceived ideas and ideas that we have, and many of those can be lies, or they can just be mistruths that we've not even really thought about much. We haven't really processed them. We just kind of taken them on because that's what our culture's saying. That's what we watch on TikTok, or that's what we've seen in social media, and that's why it's good to investigate these things and educate ourselves on them, because they're extremely important issues. Because it's like you said, Anahi, they do impact all of our lives.
Yes, they do.
We all do know someone that is affected in some way by the pro-choice, pro-life. And I don't want to talk about politics, but it is part of our politics these days. And so it's in every part of our life, every part of our culture. It is a hot topic. But the truth is, the Bible and God it's very simple and very easy once you get your brain wrapped around God's heart for it. And as believers, that is the main thing, is for us to get God's heart. What is his perspective as God, as creator, as the giver of life, as the author of life? How does he see a woman? How does he see the baby? How does he see their life? And once we come into line with the way God feels in his heart and what he's already expressed in his word, well, then it just makes sense. It just makes sense. And so some of the big lies, and you mentioned it right off the bat, is the fact that pro-life people only care about this woman having the baby, and they don't care about the woman, they don't care about the mom, and then after the baby's born, they don't care about her. I will have to say that's a lie, because I've been on the other side, and I actually, I guess I can give them a plug. I actually did some volunteer work with a pro-life organization called Let Them Live for about 1.5 years. And I was one of the counselors for the women. And the main thing that they do is for women who feel pressured or that abortion is their only choice, which I want to get into that too, the why behind that maybe in a little bit. But they help those women out financially throughout the remainder of their pregnancy, if they choose life, throughout the remainder of their pregnancy in the beginning, or right after the baby's born, to help her get established, because that mother is so important. Her baby is so important. These are eternal souls, both of them. And so as believers, we love, and so just to show you, and Let Them Live is not the one. There are many, many pro-life organizations that are not just there to say, oh, you need to have this baby no matter what your terrible situation is. They're actually there financially, they're there spiritually, they're there to give moral support and encouragement, which is what most people need. Just that little help, that encouragement, that motivation that you're not alone. Someone to say, I'm going to walk this journey with you, because that's one of the reasons why women feel like, besides the fact that they're told many times, but within them, they feel like, I'm alone. And I can't do this alone. And you know what? If you were truly alone, you might not be able to, but guess what? You aren't alone. That is one of those lies. There are so many people who love women and their babies, and they want to be there to help and support in any way that they can. So I would say that is one of the big lies. The other big lie that I would like to address is the fact that many times, and you also made mention about this, is that if you would, the lie that comes out, if you just have this abortion and you get rid of this baby, then your problems are over. Ooh. You can just continue on with your job, with your career. You don't have to, you can do your studies, or maybe you don't feel like your relationship is stable, and so this will help your relationship, and then you can just have this abortion and then live your life as if nothing ever happened. Well, the lie in that is that you could live your life as if nothing ever happened, because something has happened. Yeah. A life has been formed within you, and that life is alive and it's real and it's part of you. Yeah. As women, our children are part of who we are. We carry them within our bodies. And so when there is a loss, whether that's through abortion or miscarriage, in whatever way, a woman is going to go through a period of grief. And if it's through abortion, she can many times struggle with guilt, with condemnation, with regret, and those types of emotions. If they're not dealt with, they can tend, and psychologists and just the world in general who have studied women who have had abortions also are in agreement with the fact that women many times will self-medicate through drugs and alcohol, toxic relationships, just because it's very secretive. There's a lot of guilt and shame that goes along with it. So women will carry this alone. And that's very destructive emotionally with anything that we carry alone. Yeah. We're not made to do that. Women need a place where they can talk and get that stuff out. So a lot of times people say it'll be as if nothing ever happened, but that's not true. It does affect women greatly. Obviously, some women more than others, as with any type of trauma that we go through. Yeah. Some people are a little more resilient, but there's going to be that place in their heart that needs to be healed, that needs to be dealt with. And, even if that woman has gone through trauma, maybe like a sexual assault, which has led to pregnancy, a lot of people say, well, in that case of rape or some other type of trauma like that, that's the best way to deal with that. But the truth is, abortion is a trauma because it's a loss. And if you watch the movie Unplanned, you see what these girls go through. It's trauma. Yeah. One trauma does not heal another trauma. Ooh. So
Wow.
you don't heal the trauma of unexpected pregnancy or an unplanned pregnancy by causing another trauma for that woman
Yeah.
to deal with. There, again, are other life-giving options, such as adoption,
Yeah.
where you can place your baby with the loving family. But many times women can work through and get to a level of healing where they may want to keep their baby, raise their baby, and be their parent. And
Yeah.
there's also beautiful testimonies on that end as well.
Definitely. That's the one thing I was actually going to ask you about, because one of the lies that I hear a lot is just abort it and your life will go back to normal. But we'll talk about that after the break.
This is Amie Crabtree with Promise Family Services. I want to let you know about the services that we offer at our location at 480 Commercial Street in Eagle Pass, Texas. We offer counseling and guidance and support for women facing an unexpected or unplanned pregnancy, material items, as well as coaching, pregnancy decision coaching. We also offer coaching and help and support groups for women who are facing or have faced sexual abuse and assault, past miscarriage, or past abortion. We want to come along you in your healing journey. You can trust us. All of our services are confidential and they are free of charge. So we invite you to give us a call at 830-325-2919. You can give us a call or a text to make an appointment with no obligation.
And we're back. So one of the lies that I was actually going to talk to you about and wanted you to mention was that one of you can just abort the baby and your life will go back to normal. I've heard so many stories of women, and these are not women who are in the faith. These are just normal women who still are outside of the faith. And they testify, you know what, I aborted that baby and I still carry it with me till this day. And so that is a lie often told by society, that just abort the baby and you'll be fine. But you'll always carry it as a part of you, because I'm not a mother, right? But I know a mother, when they have a baby, it's like they're already connected to it because it's in them. It's like one as one. And so you already develop the love for the baby, even though you deny it, but you still have the love for the baby that's in your womb. So I think when it's aborted, you're just, like you said, it's a trauma. And so that is a lie that needs to be told. And you said even psychologists prove this. And so I'm so glad you brought that up. So a little bit of the backstory. Oh, this is something else. Abby Johnson, right? The mm-hmm. lady who the movie was about, she had 2 abortions, right? Mm-hmm. And so she says she just put it in a box and she locked it up and she threw it wherever, right? Figuratively speaking. But she did think about them every day and it hurt her. And so that is just proof that it's something that you cannot run away from. It's there. And so how do you deal with women who are feeling that guilt, who are feeling that shame, or they can't forgive themselves, or they can't forgive the person? How do you deal with them?
Well, forgiveness is, I'm going to say, one of the keys. And I've talked with women in the counseling room who have said things like this, and over the phone when I worked remotely with women. They'll say things like, I can never forgive myself and God will never forgive me for what I've done. To me, it's so heartbreaking because that is a lie from the enemy. There's nothing that God can't forgive. God's forgiveness is as far as the east is from the west. He throws our sin when we confess it into the sea of forgetfulness, and he leaves it there. The blood of Jesus cleanses and covers and takes away all of our sin. And we all make mistakes. We all do things in maybe a bad moment in our life, or we feel under pressure. Again, we believed lies that were spoken to us. Maybe there were women who went to a counseling room and were told, this is the answer for you, so you can go on with your life. It's no big deal. And they were told these things. Maybe they had a spouse or a boyfriend, their mother, some other, a best friend who they trusted, and that was their counsel for them. And they believed that because they were in a vulnerable moment, because there's a lot of fear attached to these type of things, and they made that mistake. They did that. But that every woman and every man and family member who have been involved in that, because some people just pay the money, some people are there saying their yes to that. There is forgiveness in Jesus. And
Amen.
So the first thing we need to do is understand that God forgives us. When we recognize, first we have to recognize, and then we go, wow, okay, I wasn't seeing that at the time, but I see it now.
Yeah.
So God, I ask that you would forgive me for that. He immediately grants us that forgiveness.
Amen.
And so we need to then, next step, forgive ourselves. If God can forgive us, then we can forgive ourselves.
Yeah.
And we take that same forgiveness that he gives us and we apply it to ourselves. And we let ourselves go and we ask God to heal that place, that empty place, that place of hurt, that place of regret, condemnation, shame, whatever emotions that the person attaches to that event. And that will be different for every person. They need to just begin to release that and allow God to work in their heart. Yeah. There are so many men and women who have been affected by abortion, the effects of that, the hurt from it. But there are also so many men and women who have found healing, who have found forgiveness, and been able to find peace in their heart for what has happened, and begin to work through that process of healing. So at Promise Family Services, we truly believe that no matter what type of sexual trauma that you've been through in the past or that you may face in the future, there is hope and there's healing. And honestly, that's what we're all about, because just telling people that, I mean, education is part of it, but education in itself doesn't bring that healing. There's others. There are steps of healing. There are steps that we can take, proactive steps to seek out our healing no matter what we've faced.
Yeah, wow, that's greatly said. I could not add more to that. But another thing is that often told is the pro-life is there to condemn. And like you said, we're not here to condemn. We're here to love, and we're trying to help the person. As a matter of fact, we're being proactive in trying to help them find that healing and to take that step of faith. Well, I want us to touch a little bit on Planned Parenthood. I am not, and I will admit, this is a humbling moment. Like, I don't know too much about Planned Parenthood. And with that movie, I know it talked a little bit on Planned Parenthood. So what is Planned Parenthood?
Well, they are a health organization. They do offer a variety of services. I guess the one that would be concerning for us as pro-life would be the abortions that they offer. And there are many types of abortion now. I don't even know if people are aware of that. I mean, you have your surgical abortion that is for later term abortions. And then there's also the pills that you can take, the 2-step pills that are very popular. Unfortunately, a lot of times, because they're in pill form, a lot of times women do not understand the physical impact as far as hormones and the physical dangers. I'm talking physically. Yeah. Then, of course, the emotional ones. And those are also dispersed from that organization. There are other organizations too. Planned Parenthood is not the only one. Because of that movie, that is very much the center of it. But so that's the concerning part. Just as far as women's health services in general, as their well-being, exams, and we don't have an issue with that at all. It would just be the fact of abortions being offered there, and these are things that people can investigate themselves. There are other accusations of other things that go on there. I won't bring that up. But that's just in general, when you have that type of thing going on, there's typically other things too. And none of them are beneficial to women, either physically, emotionally, or spiritually.
Wow. Okay, I'm going to jump into the next question. You explained perfectly what Planned Parenthood does. But this is the question that there's many answers to, quote unquote, right? Everyone believes the belief system is wide range, right? But there's a truth to that. When does life start?
So even, well, I will address first, I'll just address first scientifically.
Yes.
Scientifically, scientists have proven that life begins at conception. When the egg and the sperm meet, there is a flash of light. You can look videos up on YouTube. I've seen them, and there's more than one, and they're just secular science.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, this is just the study of conception and human development, right? So as you watch these, you see the flash of light. And scientists have also proven that at the moment of conception, that is when the DNA of that person is established. That's before there's a heartbeat. That's before implantation. That's I'm telling you, the moment of conception. The sperm enters into the egg, flash of light, and it's a person from that moment. The DNA is established, so we know that right there is hair color. You're going to have curly hair, straight hair, brown eyes, blue eyes, the whole thing. It's all boy, girl. It's all established right there. And so scientifically, that's when life begins. And let me just say this. If there's, I realize that there are that people will challenge these type of things. Yeah. Let me tell you something I've learned about the internet. Any idea that you want to support, you can find the support out there on the internet, whether it's right or wrong. There's somebody out there saying, I'm right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, everyone needs to do their own investigation. They need to know what they believe. And not that we, as believers, we base it on science, but science is there to already prove what God says in his word, which we know that in the book of Psalms, there's the beautiful scripture where it talks about that we were knitted together in our mother's womb. Yes. And God is the one who knits. Isn't that neat? Like a knitting together, a bringing together of a beautiful little person, and knowing that so delicately and perfectly made, even flaws, we all have our flaws and our issues, right? Even physically, but just knowing how, was just watching a video about the brain and went to a talk the other day about how amazing and not even understood, even doctors who study the brain know so little about it because it's so extremely complex. Even the brain in animals, so extremely complex as people, we can't even understand them. So just knowing God is the creator and the author of all that, just for us to breathe and to think and to move an arm or a leg is miraculous. Yeah. And then also, the Bible talks about the plan and purpose and calling on the prophets. I called you from your mother's womb to be a prophet to the nations. I mean, we can go on and on. That God is a God of life. He says that he's a God of life. He's not a God of death. He's a God of blessing and not of cursing. So we know the heart of our God, the power of creation, and the plan. He has a plan and a purpose for every single person. And just knowing that helps us to be confident in what we believe in and what we stand for.
Yeah. I was actually going to touch a little bit on that verse because there was a scene in the movie. Again, I'm spoiling it. I hope someone paused this and watched the movie before anything. There's a scene in that movie where she said, my husband wanted to include worship in our life, right? So we started attending a church. But again, she was the clinic director of the Planned Parenthood, right? And she said that she felt out of place. And in that scene, it was a pastor. He was preaching, and he was talking about that verse. He said, I knitted you together in your mother's womb. And I was like, just thinking about that verse makes me so emotional because he knows us. He put us together. We don't have the right to take that life away. And another thing is that you were talking about the brain. It's so complex that even scientists can't fully understand it. They only know so much about it. Another thing, DNA is super duper complex. In school, they teach us biology and we touch on DNA very little. We can't go too deep because it's too hard to understand. And so I think that proves that there is a creator, right? And he knows us so well. Humans can't fully understand that. So why would they think that it just came out of nothing? we just came from nowhere. No, there was a creator who put us together. There's a code in our DNA, and it's just beyond our understanding. So I think that is so powerful, and that verse is so powerful that he knitted us together in our mother's womb, and he knows us better than we know ourselves.
Yeah, that tells us, and right there in that scripture, and again, scientists prove, we are not just a clump of cells.
Ooh,
that's
no,
another big, if you find videos right now, you will hear that's what a lot of people say. We're just a clump of cells. So what difference does it make if you get rid of a clump of cells? That's like nothing, right? But that's not truth. This clump of cells has a brain. This clump of cells has a heartbeat. This clump of cells has DNA. This clump of cells is initiated by God. He's the author of life. So I'm just saying, if you want to call it a clump of cells, you're going to have to go through all of that too, because it's not just quite that simple.
No, it's not. Now, I want us to talk about the last question. This one is one where we're going to narrow it down. We're going to get down. Okay? Should Christ followers be pro-choice?
I'm going to go at it from, we've already set the stage. We've set the stage for this conversation. I am pro-life, as they say, from the womb to the tomb. I don't know if you've heard that saying before, because, if that's what we believe, what the Bible says, we have to go back to that. Then we're going to have to understand that God is a God of life. He's not a God of death. We have to understand that the enemy, Satan, came to steal, kill, and destroy. So when you understand who God is and you understand who the enemy is and what he stands for, then, and you do your research scientifically, you ask God, about that. What is your heart? What do you say? But always go back to the word. Always go back to the word. That's the basis of who we are and what we believe as believers. Then we have to come to that conclusion, each person themselves. Why do I give people that liberty? Because I can tell you what to believe, but it doesn't become your own.
Yeah.
But what I can do is educate people, educate women, and let them know when life begins scientifically, what the Word of God says about it, and then what psychologists say about it as far as the damage that is done mentally and emotionally to women. Of course, there are also physical complications, not every time, but many women do struggle with that, conceiving and or carrying a baby after an abortion. So there are a lot of consequences that need to be dealt with. Yeah. And I think when people will do their homework, find out what God says, find out what the Word says, find out what even science is saying. Don't listen to every voice that's out there. We each need to do our individual study, educate ourselves, and know that I think that we have no choice but to make a choice for life.
Yeah. Amen.
But I don't want anyone just to listen to this podcast and say, oh, well, because that's what I heard, then I think we need to know more than that. Yes, I think this is a great place to start.
But go
Excellent.
Deeper in.
Yes, go deeper. Find out yourself, because this needs to be a deep conviction, because it's a life or death. It literally is a life or death topic.
Yeah.
And so we need to know what we believe. We need to know what the truth is. And we can do that for ourselves. God wants us to do that.
Yeah. That is so great. And I thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. And I thank you guys so much for listening. I know this is a heavy topic and I can't speak on it so much, but I know the truth, and the truth is that we should choose life. And if there's anything that you guys have gone through where you guys need to learn how to forgive any sexual trauma, or maybe had an abortion where it still lingers till this day, I definitely recommend contacting Mrs. Amie Crabtree. And thank you so much for listening again. And as always, seek Jesus.